I've been very blessed with a good career for not only get to be as busy as I am, but also the injuries that, we injuries is a part of it. That's what you're going to deal with. But overall, I've been very fortunate to stay pretty sound. I've had some surgeries and different things, but overall, just a lot of broke bones that heal back.
Even with that though, even with the injuries, you fought through a lot of these injuries. You were out there in the arena,
oh yeah,
not feeling 100%. Just it goes back to that willpower and that desire to just keep pushing forward because there was no other option, right?
Well, I mean, and there's good nights that we, the show goes good, and you're if you're doing your job correctly, even on the good nights, you're still going to be a little bit sore the next morning, and whether that's just your forearms and your elbows and your shoulders being sore from taking some of the abuse, but there is nights that does get really, really rough. You get some big time shots where you do break bones. Broke ribs is a lot of a common injury for bullfighters because the bull's hitting you and just kind of being where you're at, but your legs take a really big beating. But if I only fought bulls when I felt good, you probably wouldn't see me in the arena very much. I mean, that's just the demand of the game we play. It's very dangerous. It's very intense. You're dealing with bulls on average that's probably 14 to 15, 1,600 pounds, but there's some bulls that are 2,100 pounds. You're weighing over a ton and got feet as big as dinner plates. And when they step on you, the only thing you're not going to break the ground, and you're not going to, this 1,800 pound animal, it's going to be you that takes the abuse, so it's a very, it's a sport that's really, really, that average outside person looking in, or the people that's watching or listening to this podcast, you probably think, man, these guys are crazy, or they're stupid, that they're crazy to do what they do with these animals. On the flip side of that, I've got a burning desire that, I want to keep these guys safe and do my job, and to be able to step in the middle of a hurricane, get in the eye of the storm and be able to literally manipulate and control an animal that I can't talk to. You can't say, hey man, take it easy, or, hey, go left, I'm going to go right. There's no community. It's literally off of instinct and what you're reading. You're taking in the situation as it's coming to you, and it's got to be on an instinct basis. If you're thinking, you're a step late. If you're a step late, the bull's got the upper hand on you. So there's a lot of outside looking in. It's crazy, but on the inside of it, to be able to take an animal and slow him down and manipulate his own body. A bull's got a lot of muscle on their necks, and their shoulders are really beefed up, and they're very large animals. So but they're very athletic, and they're very, very good at what they do, and they become smart to the game. But to be able to step in and get that bull into an angle to where he can't bend no further because of the neck muscle and the mass that they have, and literally be standing in the middle of a storm and controlling it, that's I think that's what keeps bringing me back to the game, and what is so neat, because I still feel like I'm learning. Even at this point in my career, I'm still learning just like I was when I was 10, 11, 12, 15 years old.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit, because I find it interesting, right? The name is Bullfighter, but you're not really fighting the bulls. It's more of a dance. It's more of a game. It's more of a chess match. It with is. The bulls. It's one part physical, but it's one part psychological.
Oh,
and, just what you described, it reminds me in high school with wrestling. It's all about leverage. It's all about angle. It's all about how you can manipulate the opposition to do what you want them to do. And the psychological aspect of being 100% sharp mentally in the arena is what I think is so fascinating about bullfighting, because I think for people that haven't watched rodeo, they think it's, maybe, just about brute force, or it's about,
or just crazy cowboys.
Yeah, crazy cowboys doing dumb things, but there's a real science behind it. And you talked about at the beginning of the podcast about how bullfighting has really changed over the last several decades, and how it really has become, this art that guys train for many, many years to know how to get into an arena and manipulate the bull to do what you want him to do.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that and how that has changed, and maybe even your contribution to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anything, sports evolve, everything's changed, it's still, you're still watching NASCAR, the cars still go left-hand turn for 500 laps, but the cars have gotten better, the drivers have gotten better, just everything that's went into it. Same way with rodeo or bull riding, bullfighting, everything has gotten just a little bit better. And the biggest change that probably is within it all is the bull himself. You're talking 50, 60, 70 years of breeding now versus back in the old days where a guy had a wild bull in the pasture, or, they'd find a wild bull at the sale barn and, well, I'm going to try to see if he'll make it in the rodeo. 9 times out of 10 back then, you could put together a pen of bulls from the sale barn. Nowadays, you'd be the laughing joke of town that, you'd show up with a pen of sale barn bulls. These animals are bred. There's a DNA basis that goes with the bulls of, like I said, 40, 50, 60 years that they now have on DNA, that they're putting these genetics with these genetics. And that's the only thing that these animals are bred for now. They're not to go to beef. They're not to be shown. They're literally rodeo athletes.